It's time to put some corners back on this bike. Today I'm going to begin with the right rear. Everything's ready to go on the frame. I've been tripping over these four corners a month or so now. I'm going to start with the right rear corner, tear it apart today and try and get it fitted up on the quad bike. I don't think it'll be that difficult. I think the brake in it is okay and the bearings are okay. So if I don't have to change seals and bearings, it really just needs cleaning up and the axle put back in place. That's the bit I'm going to tackle first. I've just opened up this rear drum. I needed to prise the drum off gently with a couple of big screwdrivers. What was holding it on was the sealant around these lug nuts. Then internally there's a little bit of brake dust, no rust whatsoever. Yeah, this is the bottom, so that's the amount of dust that's collected around the bottom. And then inside the drum, the wear surface there, like I often say when you're restoring something, it's like brand new. Well, this really is like brand new. I'm pretty much going to be putting the drum back on this and sanding it, because why take it apart when it looks like that? I'm going to dust out the little bit of dust. I'm going to use a little bit of degreaser spray on a rag, wet, sort of gets a lot of the dust off. You know, this gasket around the outside here, which has a hose clamp type thing, I may release it so that I can clean it a little better. Wow, I suspect that's all original. It's chuffed around a vineyard and it's never really been used. I decided to take this hub apart. I just knocked that out from the bearings. I used 21mm socket and just a few light taps in the end, and that sailed out no problem. Look at the condition of this. It's just that's the back. You know, this was exposed inside the brake drum and it's perfect. That's the axle out. I took the big nut off. You need a 30mm socket to take the nut off and the cotter pin. I'm now going to dismantle the brake shoes to get to the 4 screws behind the brake shoes to remove the backing plate from the swing arm so that I can clean the swing arm. The swing arm's got a bit of rust and stuff on it and probably could do with a paint. I'm ready to paint this corner. Some of the powder coat was starting to flake off, which really just exposed the zinc plating. I'll put a bit of rag in the bearing there to help stop the spray paint getting in there, doing some damage. It actually didn't have a lot of rust. There's spots here where things have rubbed on it. Otherwise, there's not too many places where, and the rust there has converted pretty well. I'll get some black paint on it. This is the local pets going berserk in the background just for my video. This seal around the braking plate had a Phillips head bolt running through here. I think it was like an M4. It was seized and didn't come out. I stripped the Phillips head on it when I tried to remove it. So I ended up running a small cut-off wheel in the centre there and cut the bolt in half. I can replace that. Now that lets this seal come away. Gives me a clearer run at cleaning up the rest of this aluminium. There's the inner seal there. So internally, this backing plate has just had a brush so far. Most of the black brake material is just brushed out. I'll give it a bit of a compressed air blow, but I'm not needing to do much more to the inside there. Externally, there's a bit of crap that would clean up with a wire brush. I'm going to remove this arm so that it's out of the way to get in there a little bit better. It won't take too long at all. Well, I'm ready to put the brake drum back on. I've had all this apart, the shoes out, everything cleaned up. I've left the SLAS seal around there, which probably still looks a little bit daggy, but I've repaired part of the felt that was folded over and some of it was starting to come away, just with super glue. Drum's all cleaned out, polished up to some extent on the outside. So that's ready to go back together. The actual axle there goes in later. I'll put a bit of the oil seal runs on that section there, so I'll put a bit of, I'm running that copper grease, anti-seize grease stuff that I'll run a little bit on that section there, and probably I'll have wiped all the black off that before I put it in and cleaned up the uni joint. That axle's in good nick. Well, I've made other videos on this topic about phasing the universal joint axles. This is pretty much how it needs to be configured. That end and this end need to be pretty much on the same plane. Now, I've found in the past that they don't line up perfectly, as in I've got that one there. I've even marked sort of a 12 o'clock position there. Oh, you can even see from here that this one is moved on from 12 o'clock a little bit. The spline, if it goes to the next one, it's significantly out of phase. Well, it's significantly the other way. There is theoretically turn it over and try and find something that lines up, and I think that's pretty much the same as I had it before. With if that one's at 12 o'clock, this one's come round 12:30 or something, but that's about as best you can get. So I've got a couple of reference marks at the top there. I've got a boot to put on. Now, once you put the boot on, you can't really see anything. You can't see the exact position of that uni joint. I'm going to try and keep it all at that 12 o'clock mark so that I can plug this one in and it stays in phase as best I can get it. In an effort to make sure I've got these uni joints phased correctly, I put a mark up the top here at 12 o'clock and a line across the top yoke, and then tried to line the rubber seam up with that 12 o'clock and come down here, and I reckon I've got that yoke pretty well horizontal across here, lined up as best I can to the spline that best matches the phased position. I've got that boot tied off with the end of the tab towards the rear there, so when it rotates it doesn't catch on things. So that's the new boot fitted, the axle in phase. So I'm now ready to mate up the swing arm. That's the vent tube fired in through there. I don't know exactly how it runs, but it's pretty right at this end. And then there's the brake lever is done. It's secured under there. That's the pipe for the drain, which I haven't connected yet. Well, that's just one corner done good. 3 more to go. The left rear shouldn't take as long, so get out to your shed and have some fun.